Hello, welcome back to this lecture series on quantum chemistry. In the last lecture, we were discussing about the particle on a sphere model. We discussed the expression for energy, expression for wave function, okay, and how to represent the wave function in a pictorial form, right? All those things we discussed. Now I am going to discuss another important part of particle on a sphere model called the angular momentum. Angular momentum, it is denoted by the symbol L. Okay, you know very well all rotational motion is associated with some angular momentum. Okay, see, in the last lecture I had showed that Hamiltonian operator, when acts on the spherical harmonic function y, which depends on the quantum number L and m, which varies with the variable theta and phi. So when the Hamiltonian operator acts on the function y, you will get the same function y multiplied by some constant called the eigenvalue. Here the eigenvalue is nothing but eigenvalue of the Hamiltonian operator is nothing but energy. Okay, and we know what is the energy expression. Energy expression is minus h bar square by 2i into L plus 1. Okay, so this is the energy eigenvalue, right, when Hamiltonian operator acts on the function y. Okay, we also know that Hamiltonian operator commutes with the square of the angular momentum operator, square of the total angular momentum operator. Okay, it will commute with the square of the total angular momentum operator. It means H operator and L square operator, they have common set of eigenfunction. Okay, it implies that H and L square operator, okay, they have common set of eigenfunctions. Okay, that's the meaning. That okay, it means the function which is eigenfunction of Hamiltonian operator, okay, are also eigenfunctions of L square operator. Okay, so what I am trying to say is that you take the same function y. Now I will apply L square operator on this function. So if you apply L square operator on this function, on the function y, L m theta phi, I will get the same function L m theta phi multiplied by some constant or some value. That value is nothing but eigenvalue for the L square operator, that is square of the total angular momentum operator. What is the eigenvalue? How to find it out? Very simple. See, the Hamiltonian operator is nothing but minus, I'm sorry, you can write Hamiltonian operator as, I'll write here, H operator equal to H bar square by 2i, no, I'm sorry, L square, right? Yeah, L square operator 1 by 2i, yeah, we can write this is 1 by 2i into, let me write here, sorry, Hamiltonian operator can be written as 1 by 2i into L square operator. So if I replace this Hamiltonian operator by this, I will get 1 by 2i into L square operator acting on the function y will give me h bar square by 2i into L plus 1 into the same function y. Okay, now multiply both sides, or you can cancel this 2i and this 2i. Therefore L square operator, when it acts on the function y, let me put Lm here, Lm theta phi. This is the usual way of writing, okay, writing the spherical harmonic function. So when L square operator acts on the function, I will get the eigenvalue L into this h bar square is there, okay, h bar square into L plus 1, the same function y. Okay, So it means the eigenfunctions of Hamiltonian operator are also the eigenfunctions of L square operator, and the eigenvalue of L square operator is this. Okay, so what is the eigenvalue? The square of the total angular momentum is h bar square into L plus 1, right? Or the total angular momentum operator, or the total angular momentum, the value of the total angular magnitude, the magnitude of total angular momentum is equal to h bar, you take square root, h bar into square root of L into L plus 1. Okay, this is the formula for value of total angular momentum operator. Okay, now is the total angular momentum can take any possible value? Is it continuous? No, because we have the quantum number L. You know very well, quantum number L can take value 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, since L can take only certain allowed values, therefore the total angular momentum also can take only certain allowed values, right? So what are the allowed values of total angular momentum? Let me write here. See, the quantum number L can take only these values. L can take value 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, those values are not allowed. Okay, first value is 0, the second value is 1, then 2, then 3. So these are the allowed values for L. If I substitute this value here, I will get a definite value for L. Okay, so if you put L equal to 0, then total angular momentum also 0. If I put L equal to 1, 1 into 1 plus 1, I will get h bar into root 2. If I put L equal to 2 here, 2 into 2 plus 1 is 6. So I will get h bar into root 6. Okay, like this we will get some allowed values. L can take only certain values, right, called so we call this total angular momentum is also quantized. Okay, total angular momentum, just like that, it cannot take any possible value. It will take only certain allowed values. Right? These are all the allowed values of the total angular momentum. So it implies that total angular momentum is also quantized. Right. Then we also know that square of the total angular momentum operator will commute with the z component of the angular momentum operator. Right? Very important. Square of the total angular momentum operator commutes with the z component of the angular momentum operator. Therefore, the eigenfunctions of L square operator should also be eigenfunctions of Lz operator. They have common set of eigenfunctions. So L square operator and Lz operator have common set of eigenfunctions. They also have common set of eigenfunctions. Therefore, what does it imply? It implies that so the function y is also an eigenfunction of Lz operator. So if we apply Lz operator on the function y, this is a usual way of writing the spherical harmonic function. If I apply this operator on the function, I will get the same function YL theta phi multiplied by some constant that is called the z component of angular momentum. Okay, right now we don't know that value. Let it be. Now we have to find that. Okay, we have to find the value of z component of angular momentum. Okay, so what is the eigenvalue? How to find it out? You know very well, Lz operator, when it acts on the function y Lm theta phi, Lz operator, the formula is minus I h bar into d by d phi. This is the formula for Lz operator. And the spherical harmonic function, you know very well, spherical harmonic function can be separated into theta function and phi function. Okay, and this operator operates only on phi. Therefore, you can take theta out. So minus I into h bar, you keep theta as such. Now d by d phi acts on the function big phi. Okay, you can also write this as minus I into h bar into big theta d by d phi. The function phi the expression for the function phi is 1 by square root of 2 pi into e power I ml into phi. Okay, 1 by root 2 pi is constant, you can take it out, minus I h bar big theta 1 by square root of 2 pi. Now I will differentiate this. If I differentiate this, e power I ml phi and differentiation will give same e power I ml into phi multiplied by the coefficient of phi. What is the coefficient of phi? I into ml. Okay. Now I into I square is minus 1. So minus or minus become plus. Then we have an ml and an h bar here. So ml into h bar into big theta. And what is the term we left with? 1 by root 2 pi into e power I ml phi, which is nothing but big phi. And this is nothing but y. So this is equal to ml into h bar into the same function ylm theta phi. So if I apply the operator on this function, I am getting the same function multiplied by some quantity that is nothing but z component of angular momentum. Okay, z component of total angular momentum, right? And this is the eigenvalue for that. Okay, so z component of angular momentum, I am giving the magnitude. The magnitude of z component of angular momentum is ml into h bar. Okay, so now you know the expression for total angular momentum and the expression for z component of angular momentum. Okay, now based on this I'll explain what is meant by spatial quantization. Spatial quantization of angular momentum. What is meant by that? I'll take, for example, I'll take a particular energy level, say L equal to 1. Right? For this level, we have 3 states correspond to the ml values +1, 0, and -1. Okay, L1 ml +1 gives one state, L1 ml 0 gives another state, L1 ml -1 will give another state. Okay, now what I am going to do, how these states are oriented, okay, in space in the presence of external field. Okay, in presence of is very important. In presence of external field, magnetic field or electric field, usually we apply magnetic field. In presence of external field, okay, the quantization, right, angular momentum, right, for these 3 states will orient in different direction in space. Okay, yeah, in presence of external field, the angular momentum, the total angular momentum, orient in definite directions, in space. Okay, it cannot orient in all possible direction. That's the point. See, if it orient in any possible direction, then angular momentum is not quantized. But in the presence of external field, the total angular momentum orient only in certain definite directions. Okay, so this is what we call the spatial quantization of angular momentum, right? Okay, let me explain that with a pictorial form so that you can easily understand. Okay, see, if L is equal to 1, right, what is the value of total angular momentum? Total angular momentum is h bar into square root of L into L plus 1. So if I put L equal to 1 here, I'll get h bar into root 2. Okay, so total angular momentum value is this. Now I'll take first ml equal to +1. If ml equal to +1, then the z component of angular momentum is z component is ml into h bar. So ml value is +1, so I'll get plus h bar. Okay, if ml equal to 0, then the z component of angular momentum also becomes 0 because ml is 0, so 0 into h bar is 0. If ml equal to -1, okay, minus 1, then the z component of angular momentum will get minus h bar value. Okay. Now, in the presence of external field, right, how these the angular momentums, right, the total angular momentum will orient in definite direction. Actually, it orients in 3 different directions based on the values of ml plus 1, ml 0, ml minus 1. It will orient in 3 different directions, right? What are the directions? Let me show here. Take this as xy plane. Okay, I am taking this as xy plane, and this is the z-axis. Okay, z-axis. First, let me consider ml equal to plus 1. For ml equal to plus 1, the z component of angular momentum is h bar. So, from origin, I will take a certain length, say this length equal to h bar plus h bar. In the positive side, I will take this, see this length is h bar. Now, let me put a dotted line there, a straight line, dotted line. Okay, this is equal to h bar. Now, from the origin, you draw a straight line to this dotted line such that the length of the straight line should be h bar into root 2. Suppose I will draw like this. The length of this line is h bar into root 2. Okay, so this is the total angular momentum, and this is the z component of this total angular momentum. So z component is h bar and total angular momentum is h bar 2. And this total angular momentum does not lie like this. It is actually present anywhere around this z axis. Okay, by keeping this angle constant. Okay, what is meant by that? So let me draw a cone here. A cone. What is meant by this? See, this total angular momentum may present anywhere on the cone. Okay, right? It may present anywhere on the cone. So it is actually precessing, right? In classical picture, we can say that this total angular momentum precesses, right, on this cone actually. Okay, you can imagine like that, right? So this is the orientation of one orientation of total angular momentum, okay, in space. It will appear like upward cone. Okay, and what is this angle? This angle, let me take this angle as theta. Okay, so this is opposite side, this is opposite side, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. So adjacent is h bar, hypotenuse is h bar into root 2. Identity or the trigonometry function which connects these two is cos theta. So cos theta equal to adjacent side by hypotenuse. Okay, h bar cancel. I'll get cos theta equal to 1 by root 2. Okay, the value which will be 1 by root 2 is actually 45 degree. You know very well, cos 45 is 1 by root 2. So this angle is 45 degrees. So this, see, this is the z axis. Let me take this as z axis, and this is your total angular momentum. Let the angle between the z axis and the total angular momentum, let this angle be 45 degree. So now this total angular momentum will precess about, okay, it will precess about the z axis like this. Okay, I think you can easily understand this. Okay, so this total angular momentum will precess about the z axis. Okay, and it will appear like an upward cone. Okay, similarly, if I take, so this is for ml plus 1. If I take ml equal to 0, angular momentum is 0. So Lz is 0. That means at the center. Now you draw a line along the xy plane such that the length of the line should be h bar into root 2. Okay, so the length of this line should be h bar into root 2. And now you draw a circle along the xy plane. You draw a circle along the xy plane. So the circle is in the xy plane. Right, now this angular momentum, okay, may present anywhere on this circular plate. Okay, it present anywhere on the circular plate. This is the second orientation of the total angular momentum, right, in space. Okay, this is one possible orientation. This is another possible orientation. Okay, what is the third possible orientation? ml equal to minus 1. If ml is minus 1, okay, the z component of angular momentum is minus h bar. Minus h bar means in the negative side. So in the negative side, you take a point here such that this length should be minus h bar. Okay, now I'll draw a dotted line. Okay. Now from the origin to this dotted line, you draw a straight line such that the length of this line should be equal to h bar into root 2. It should be equal to the total angular momentum, right? And draw a cone here also. As I said before, draw a cone here, and listen, this total angular momentum present, okay, anywhere on this cone. This cone is actually looks like a downward cone, and this is upward cone, and at the middle we have a circular plate. Okay, so the total angular momentum orient in these three different directions. Okay, it may orient like upward cone, or it may orient in the like a circular plate. Okay, and it may orient anywhere on the downward cone. Okay, so these are the three possible orientations of the total angular momentum, right, in the presence of external field. You may ask a question: what will happen if the field is suddenly stopped? Okay, or if this field is suddenly removed or switched off? If the field is switched off, what will happen? The angular momentum, okay, actually does not possess. It will exist anywhere on these three orientations. Okay, either it may present here, or it may present in the circular plate, or it may present in the downward cone, anywhere. But it will not possess, it will remain silent. Okay, yeah. So that is the position of the total angular momentum, right, in the absence of external field. Okay, yeah. So this is what we call as spatial quantization of angular momentum. I gave this explanation based on the L value 1. Okay, if you take L value 2, you will get 5 different orientations. Okay, so depending upon the values of ML, you will get that many number of orientations or total angular momentum in space. Okay, keep this in mind. These different orientations exist only in the presence of external field. Okay, if the external field is switched off, then the total angular momentum, right, exists in any one of this. In any one of these shapes. Okay, either in upward cone or downward cone or in the middle circular plate. But it never presses. It remains silent, and it remains silent in any one of these shapes. Okay. Yeah, so this is regarding spatial quantization of angular momentum. I hope you have understood this concept clearly. We'll meet in the discussion of hydrogen atom problem in the next lecture onwards. I stop here. Thank you for listening.